Generally, generationally, we've been giving little or no option in the manner in which we live here in America. Uh, Changes, titles, labels are the way we identify anything of importance to us. And with that knowledge, the forefathers predicted that for generations and generations, for another 500 years, that the Negro in America will be the primary source of its own elimination. So they set these things forth in a very public way in the Constitution. Now we can do weeks and weeks worth of research and find all sorts of things, but I want to focus on the fact that at this particular point in our lives as Black people, we have yet to demonstrate the ability to pull away from the systematic brainwashing that American education has given us. Now, yeah, I have to admit, and it's great to have an education, have all this information, but then who are you working for? Who benefits the most from your labor, from your studies and your degrees? True enough, you might make six, even seven figures. But if you're making that much, how much are the owners making? I'm using the word owners loosely because I have nothing against being an owner, but I have a lot against being property or considered property. Now, there's no reason to cover or pretend as if you don't know that this transformation is allowed every 60 years. Check it out. Now, in the 60s, in the 1960s, when Black people had to march or did march and boycott and all these different things, they also did not receive what they fought and died and were jailed for and murdered, and they didn't get it because they settled for the Civil Rights Bill. It wasn't even law then. It didn't even become law till much later. So they settled for less, and because of that, they celebrated before the actual thing took place. Now, in any other time, I can understand, yeah, but we come so far, but we only, and after they killed King, it's because, see, if King would have lived just a little bit longer, he would have been able to influence policy in a realistic sense, because even those individuals who were claiming to be Republicans at that time and who were so against segregation, uh, they would prefer to stood on the side that they knew eventually, because the blacks would progress, and then them investing into that particular thing would have made things right. But it was a conflict of interest. You're gonna ask me how I know all this, right? All you have to do is read their books. So I'm gonna give you a list of books as we go, and I'm gonna post them on Exclusively Black. And I want you to take a look, and if you don't come to the same conclusion, ban me. Period. So during these particular times, they're covering up so many other things. So in order to influence the blacks, they decided to get rid of their leaders systematically and sequentially, Malcolm X and King, because of the strength of their mind, their abilities to sway millions of people. And it gave the government some fear, gave them some fears. That, oh man, nothing like somebody with a lot of guns who's afraid. There's nothing like a person with a lot of guns that they scared. They're gonna kill everything that they think is a threat, and then they're gonna feign as if they had nothing to do with it. And I grieve with the widow. All those things to set the stage for the very next time. And our people fall for it each and every time. Now, what's getting to me is this big thing of all these mass murders, all these big things about mass murders who understood and more than anything else that black people don't kill people like that. You understand? So something influential, a person wants money, needs money, whatever situations that are influential, you people know it. And you can walk around like you don't believe it, but you know for a fact that there's always been a conspiracy to kill before they would allow us to be in a position to feign for ourselves or to supply for ourselves the things that they supply. So we have to lean toward them more because we need them. When we start doing too much, they'll stop our credit. If they, that's because we lean too much on the establishment for everything that we claim is ours. But when you're born, that birth certificate gives them ownership. You understand what I'm saying? That birth certificate gives them ownership. So it's a non-disclosure. You can't compete with them on any level, and anything that you involve yourself in, they're going to be ones that benefit the most. Now I remember when the cats like Master P and all those cats decided, to say, hey man, I'm tired of these pink people putting their hands in everything that I do. So they stepped away from all that and said, hey, they had enough credibility to build their own label, their own marketing, their own everything. And I don't keep up with much with that and everything like that. So I'm certain that the brothers are still primarily owned by black people. It should be only owned by black people because we can't even think about the kind of freedom that our great grandparents and grandparents thought about or wished for if we keep depending on the same individual who owned the plantation. Cut and dry. You just can't. If you don't get away from the plantation, you will never be free. You might be allowed to do certain things because of your skill set, but you'll never be actually free until you pull away from the plantation. That's why it's amazing how there's so many billionaires that are black, Hispanic, Asian, and non-white, and how the Chinese, the Asians, they take advantage of all of that because of the unification. Check it out. Unification. That's an amazing word, isn't it? Unification. Black people just don't understand that. And what now is that's the one thing that sets us back. It's not the lack of money. We spend over $800 billion a year just giving back to the same individual who's had power over our people since the very first slave hit the shores. It's it's amazing. And then we march, and they know we march, so they construct it so they know if they do something, they'll know when we're disgruntled. You know why? Because they're gonna march. And what they'll do is they'll change the game. They'll change the game. I want y'all to peep game now. They change the game so that you'll see a change. And even though it's never been a change, they'll say a change, and they'll try the same thing a different way. All of this ties in together because I want you to see how it's all coming back from the 60s to the 20s to the 20s. So it's 2023 from the 1960s to now. And this is what I'm trying to tell you. That's 60 years. Okay, so 60 years, things should be different. Things should be different right now. But if you look at the way society is right now, things are still the same, just labeled differently. They have different investigative techniques and different things like that, but it's still the same. They're hanging black people all over the country. Oh yeah, it's not a secret. I'm posting a lot of this stuff on exclusively black. Just stay tuned. Yes, sir. and and then these murders. They tried a little bit at a time. Even a civil servant, a person who was just a post person, I believe she was, and it was just amazing how they just ran up in that lady house, Brianna, yeah, ran up in her house and just killed her, and then said, oh, it was just the wrong place. You see, is how inconvenient it is to be black at that particular time, huh? So at that time, it still instilled fear. So it had a dual purpose. It says, okay, we're going to get away with killing a black person, and then we're going to set it up another way. And that's exactly what they did. They found another way. Then they started building all these fake felony arrests and different things like that so they can justify what's going on. Then a couple of people started getting wise to them and wanted to defund the police because they had gotten out of pocket. So they shook it up a little bit, let things die down. Black males, Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter. All these different things started mattering, and back to the same thing. So instead of it just being white cops killing black cops, they say, okay, we're going to bring some equilibrium to it, and then calling some black cops to kill an innocent individual, but he black. So you're going to see how far that goes. Oh, they didn't wash over well. So they had to throw in some pink guy to say, hey, see, once again, the pink people, even when they throwing you under the bus, is being involved in it. So they got their hand in everything. And we'll never know freedom until we can step away from that in every aspect of your life, period. And we have the know-how, we have the ability, we even have the funding. If we can get away from the snazzy, the jazzy, the gleamy, you know, we can change our own world. We can leave this country. I mean, not everybody's cut out for that, but all of Africa was decimated because these people went through it, just tore it up, took what they wanted and left everybody else to die and starve. And now we're here in this country, and people from other countries that come here, they take their money and they go back and build up their communities. I know most of us never been to the motherland, but the whole idea is to find who you are in order for you to make a difference in the future of who you are. I mean, unless you just want to be one of the people who go say, whatever it is, whatever happens. If those are the type of people that you become, if you become, then it's time for you to step away from the mic. Go ahead, choose a side because it's coming to that. All of these different things are happening the same way. They're about to militarize here in Florida, especially. They're about to militarize the police because they're creating more chaos in an area that was already notorious for being full of crime. But it's full of poverty, it's full of desperation. So in those particular areas, you're going to find that people are going to lash out. There's no help, especially for people of color. And people of color who say they're about that, it's so sparingly because people who need help don't sometimes know they need help, especially individuals with criminal records. See, so it goes all the way back to the revolving door of crime and punishment being rewarded, and if we lock enough of them up, we'll make this much money that we can buy and do this, and building worlds outside of the atmosphere. They'll never be able to reach us. Different things like that. So just stay tuned. Take a look at what we're doing right now. Stay tuned and look at our platform, Exclusively Black, and I'll leave that address on the end of our video or our podcast. And sometimes I do go live. So just bear with me. I got a lot of stuff to share with you, and just take that with a grain of salt, and just peep gang on everything around you. Keep peeping it. All right. Have a free day.